Hey everyone, Tacticus here. As some of you may know, I'm pretty much into Warhammer 40k. Yeah, big shocker right here, I know. But one of the best intros to the Warhammer games has always been the Dawn of War series. So, what would happen if we were to mix Dawn of War into Tacticus? Now, some of you may be younger than the first Dawn of War, which was released in September of 2004, but to me, this was my first experience with the 40k. I was 6 years old then, and I got pulled into the game and the universe, well, quite a lot. Since 20 years later, I'm still here, as you can see. Now, I also have a small prize for you. I got you guys a code. So hop into Tacticus and use the code Cyrus to see what it contains. I hope that you enjoy the rewards. Now, over the years, my taste in Warhammer games has changed a little. I still appreciate Dawn of War 1 and its expansions, mainly Soulstorm thanks to the modding community, but as time passed, I started to become a bigger and bigger fan of Dawn of War 2, which is pretty controversial among the fans since it dropped the big-scale classic RTS style and focused on smaller teams, utilizing terrain and more of a tactical than strategy approach to the gameplay. One thing that made Dawn of War 2 an amazing game in my eyes is the addition of the campaign co-op. The campaign in the game had you controlling 4 characters and added some RPG elements like leveling them up, unlocking skills and passives, upgrading their weapons, armor and various trinkets and baubles. It was a simple but an engaging system that made each character feel distinct, and mixing it with the 40k feeling of the game and the amazing voice acting done for each character, it really improved the experience. Now, there are a few characters available in the game's campaign. We are controlling Blood Ravens and our squad leader is the Force Commander, who you can name yourself. Then we have Tacticus as a Tactical Marine Sergeant, Avitus as a Devastator Squad Sergeant, Cyrus as a Scout Sergeant, Thaddeus as an Assault Squad Sergeant, and Davian Tool as a Dreadnought. In the Chaos Rising DLC, we also get Jonah Orion as a Librarian, so we have plenty of different effects and possibilities. Now, my favorite character to use by a long shot is Cyrus, which is why this video is all about him. You see, in Tacticus, we have a Scout Space Marine. His name is Cyrus, and let's be honest, he may be the worst character in the game, period. On the other hand, the Blood Ravens Scout Sergeant Cyrus is a total, undisputable Giga Chad. So, the thing about Cyrus that makes him cool is that he does the Cyrus role way better, with some actual fun involved. Now, let's look at the potential roles that Cyrus can fulfill in the game. First, he can be used as a scout, with possible demolition charges used for traps and disruption. Second, he can be used as a combat medic that can safely resurrect your fallen teammates. And third, he can be used as a damage dealer that can use a broad range of weapons to wreak havoc upon his enemies. Now, quick stop before we go into more details. This video was inspired by a Tacticus Discord user called Trenchblazer, who's absolutely super into theorycrafting more units for Tacticus. His works cover new races, new Space Marine chapters, new Orc clans, new Forge Worlds, you get the idea. If you enjoy this kind of content, please give him a shout out in the Tacticus Discord. This guy spends long nights designing and discussing various new cool mechanics that could be one day added to the game, some of which I will cover in a video in the future. If you are active on the Discord, you may already know what characters we have been cooking up together for a showcase. Now, back to the topic. The idea of introducing Blood Ravens, a chapter used only in the Dawn of War games, as part of the Tacticus roster is amazing. And each character in Dawn of War has several roles that they can fulfill nicely, so we could be tempted to overload their kits, but if we want to have some good game design, we need to keep them in check and not make them too complicated. Every user-made content tends to be overcomplicated because the fans want exciting stuff that goes beyond the current limits, but we need to think sober while designing those kits. Now, Cyrus. 3 niches that he can do nicely: a scout, a damage dealer, and a medic. Now, for my design, I ditched the medic part of Cyrus. It's a bonus in the Dawn of War game, but it doesn't really scream Scout Sergeant. We have Incisus anyway to do this medic job, so let's ignore it. I also ditched the traps and explosives part of his kits, since it would overcomplicate him a little too much. I wanted to focus on the last part of Cyrus, the damage dealer that uses a broad range of weapons. And I kinda got it working in my opinion. Keep in mind, we won't be including any hard numbers, we will just be theorycrafting a kit and its effects. So I present to you Cyrus, the Blood Raven Scout Sergeant. Cyrus has a base utility stats of movement and range at 2. He starts the fight with a sniper rifle, utilizing heavy round damage type, which makes him a 55% pierce character. In melee, his weapon is a trusty shotgun using projectile damage type. Both of his attacks score 1 hit only. Now, that sounds awful, right? 2 range on a sniper, 2 movement like Cyrus? Fred, you managed to downgrade Cyrus, what the hell? Don't worry, let me cook. Let's introduce the gimmick of the character now, shall we? Active ability. Surplus supplies expended. Cyrus has the ability to switch his gear instantly from the Blood Raven armory, changing his ranged and melee weapons and affecting his passive ability effects. Precision shot. Cyrus's ranged weapon is Mark II sniper rifle with heavy round damage type. His melee weapon is Mark III combat shotgun with projectile damage type. Cyrus also receives +X damage and Overwatch. Now, before we go further, we need to hop to his passive, since Cyrus is heavily inspired by Tangida in terms of his design. Switching modes and changing actives and passives is too much fun to do only on one character after all. Passive ability. Combat maneuvers. Precision shot. Cyrus receives +1 range on his ranged attacks. His melee normal attacks knock back their target 1 hex if possible, or deal 1 times X to Y projectile damage to the enemy behind it otherwise. Cyrus also deals +X to Y% damage to the big target units. Now, this gives us a few things. First, we fix the range problem on a sniper rifle. Then, we add a knockback effect, which fits nicely with the close quarters shotgun usage and is heavily underutilized in Tacticus, being used only by a few characters. One more thing that it adds is an unique take on Overwatch. If the first enemy that rushes Cyrus gets into melee, he gets knocked back, unless it's a big target unit, but those units take bonus damage as a penalty anyway. And this helps Cyrus survive. And the big target units taking bonus damage, well, this also improves his guild raid's damage output, possibly opening a synergy with Vitruvius, for example. So, we have precision shot, the sniper mode, covered. 3-range sniper rifle with huge damage. Melee shotgun with knockback effects. Let's dive into the second mode. Back to the active. Active ability, surplus supplies expended. Multi-shot. Cyrus's ranged weapon is Mark II grenade launcher with blast damage type. His melee weapon is Mark III flamer with flame damage type. Cyrus also receives +3 hits on all of his normal attacks and +X armor. Now, this in theory should be balanced to deal more damage to low armor enemies, since Precision Shot got bonus damage and a higher pierce ratio on the ranged attack, and here we are getting more hits of the base damage stat instead. Jumping from 1 hit to 4 hits ensures that the change is noticeable in terms of the gameplay, while mixing blast and flame damage types makes him more of a crowd control kind of character that can deal with proper hordes. For example, one-shotting Reaper swarms with a grenade salvo. Now, let's go back to his passive ability once again. Passive ability: Combat Maneuvers. Multi-shot. Cyrus receives +1 to his movement, and enemies hit by his attacks become suppressed. His normal melee attacks deal 4 times X to Y flame damage to enemies adjacent to the target and Cyrus, and Cyrus deals +X to Y% bonus damage to summons and battle fatigue units. So, the +1 movement allows Cyrus to relocate on the battlefield better, while suppression allows him to control the battlefield more. Keep in mind that with the current wording, all enemies hit by the additional flames from his passive will also get suppressed, so that's a nice bonus. The idea of giving him bonus damage against summons and battle fatigue comes from Dawn of War's mechanic of grenade launchers and flamers doing morale damage, thus reducing the effectiveness of enemy troops, which often leads to their retreat. Thus, proccing battle fatigue easier fits the team here, and he can do it kinda safely, since he has bonus armor from his active too. Now, we just need some rules to be added to the actives text and we are finished with the abilities. So, how about Cyrus can attack after using this ability. This makes him work like Tangida, who can freely move and use the ability however he wants. This ability can be used multiple times per battle, but has a cooldown of 1 round. This makes him work like Barakiel, allowing you to change weapons every second round, so you have to commit to the decision. And that's all the rules that we need, really. If you want to be swift on round 1, you can swap to multi-shot and get +1 movement, reposition, and the active ability should be available for using at round 3 then, which gives you the decision of whether you want to first swap to precision shot and abuse the heavy weapon trait since you haven't moved yet, or if you want to first move and get a better position and then swap to precision shot in order to get a high ground or be safer. Cool, simple gimmicks. So that's Cyrus for you, a scout sergeant that basically has only normal attacks in his kit, just like the beloved Lucian from the Dark Angels. But each of his 4 attack variants has a distinct feeling. Sniper rifle does huge damage with relatively high pierce ratio. Shotgun knocks back the target or allows for double kills in a straight line if you flank correctly. Grenade launcher kills swarm enemies and suppresses from a safer range, while Flamer kills crowds in a curved line if you flank correctly. As you can see, we don't really need explosive and mega complicated effects and kits to Theorycraft a nice character that would actually fit Tacticus. If you like my design for the character, I would appreciate if you subscribed to my channel, liked this video, and shared your thoughts in the comments section below. If you want to jump headfirst into the theory crafting side of Tacticus, you should visit the Tacticus Discord server and engage with Trench Blazer's works. Or you can expect me to do more of those in the future if the reception is good. And I don't mean the views or the watch time or the ad revenue. I mean you guys engaging in conversations and saying that you like this kind of format for a video. I will gladly listen to all of your feedback and try to use it to improve future videos in this format. Now, I'm sorry, my Skitari, but I am going back to play Dawn of War 2 campaign. It has dragged me in hard this time. Praise the Omnissiah, and remember that the machine is eternal.